Hey, welcome to Challenge Accepted, the podcast where we challenge each other to a new movie or TV show every week, and we even react to the latest and greatest. And today I am joined by Thomas.
Hello, per usual, joined again.
I should just throw them off at some point. Like, today I'm joined by, I don't know, Mark Ruffalo.
That would have thrown me off if you did that.
Yeah.
So I'm happy you did it. But yeah, no, this was a tremendous show. I feel like I'm giving it all away, but I really, really enjoyed this finale. What did you think about this last episode?
I was worried, how are they going to do this? I wanted to know who the supervisor was. And there's a whole lot of me that was like, make it, Grievous, make it somebody we know from before, make it a Hutt. But they went with I'm not even going to say it. They went with a very classic sci-fi move where it's a robot that's controlling the planet. And we're not necessarily sure who the good guy was in that. Was the robot bad necessarily? They seemed pretty, peaceful. But I think in the end it worked out. Now they're seeing the broad world out there, and welcome to the Republic.
Yeah, that's a good point. We never really find out. Should we go in order, or should we just like say it at this point?
No, let's say it. Hey guys, spoiler alert for Skeleton Crew, the finale and the entire series. So now you're safe, man. Spoil it away.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'll say some non-spoiler stuff too. The kids killed it. They got a lot of growth. It was cool to see the parents realize the growth in them too. We get a little bit more of a background for Nanawood. I think it was named Jod. Yeah, Jude Law, and that was cool. I was satisfied with it. I definitely want to know more about his character though, and the Jedi he referenced. But the supervisor, it was a good twist, but I was alerted to it. If you guys watch Screen Crush, Ryan airing that team, they had predicted this weeks ago. They'd said, I guarantee that the supervisor or the person that's controlling everybody is just a droid. So it wasn't like, oh my God. It was just like, okay, that's cool. They did it. And I think they did it really, really well, but it didn't like completely shock me.
It's literally a 1969 episode of Star Trek. Is literally the story about a droid that's controlling the rest of the planet and keeping everybody maintained and stuff. So when they revealed it, I was like, I think that's literally the same eye from the show. So it was great.
Yeah,
like this Hal eye.
Like, I've seen this eye
Odyssey
before.
Yeah. But it was, it worked. It was like just serviceable enough to not blow me away, but also be good. And I think that's a huge benefit to this show that I realized towards the conclusion over everything else we've seen lately. Is like the original trilogy, it's just a fun adventure. It doesn't need to be super complex. It doesn't need to surprise me. Yes, Jude Law was actually using the Force. It wasn't a trick. And I think that's why
I want to talk more about that later.
Definitely. It feels more like the original trilogy than anything else we've gotten after the original trilogy to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people are making all those comparisons about the Acolyte, like, and I guess in a weird, but those comparisons for me were like, yeah, but I guess. But this one was actually like, oh, this does feel like a New Hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where people were like, the Acolyte was like, it's just like the original series and yada, and they're making all these comparisons, which I was like, I guess I get your point because they're coming with receipts, but I don't really buy it. For this, I do buy it. It is kids. They're innocent. They are looking at, a world outside of their barrier, outside of their planet and adventures, right? And there's it's literally a skeleton crew, a ragtag group that gets put together on this adventure that they didn't plan for, and then it just shows them the wider galaxy. And I feel like we really got that from the end of this show.
Yeah, I would say Acolyte, I think, was trying to reach something that was a mix of the new trilogy and the prequel. I didn't get any of the original trilogy out of that. With its art style, with its pacing, maybe a little bit kind of more of a detective noir, not a noir, just a Reddit detective story like Mayor of Easttown. When like The Mandalorian is a Western outright, just a Western in space. And like Boba Fett's a mob boss show. Like they all have their things. Ahsoka is straight up the prequel again. So it's like, this though, to me, the way again is the adventure, the fun kids, it's been a long time since I'm watching Star Wars and I was like, whoa, that's cool. The jump that they did in this episode where they like jumped over the thing and like the way she did almost like the Akira slide, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, that's cool. I said that out loud vocally and I'm like, that's a good sign for the show.
I agree with you. That part too. Again, it was just so fun and there was so much action in a weird way, right? You're like, how are these kids going to battle these pirates? Yeah. But yes, to your point with the speeder bikes, everything gets shut down with the droids. They take those speeder bikes and them chasing them while shooting at them was one of the most cool chase scenes I've seen in Star Wars in a long time. That was awesome. It was so awesome. Cool. Yeah, and that part where I was like, how's the dad gonna jump this? You know, and Wim has said, trust me, Dad. And he also, later on when they get to the ship, the dad has a moment where he gets to look at his son and be like, trust me, I got this. And the son gets to look up to him. I really liked what they did.
I really liked that too. And that was a good nod for the parents watching the show with their kids, because it reminds me how Aaron says, like, he's been waiting for a Star Wars that he can introduce to his kids. And this is the one where, like, the dad has the most mundane title possible. And it's like, trust me, I'm a manager at Trader Joe's. And it's just so perfect.
Right. I mean, this doesn't make it better if you add level 7 in front of it.
Yes, actually, yeah. It's like, I'm the regional manager at Trader Joe's.
Trust me, son. You're right. Yeah. Trust me, son. I'm the regional manager. You're like, oh, dang. Yeah, that's true. I love that part. I think it was really well done. I was wondering where they were going to go when the last episode left off and what they were going to do with the parents. And it was cool how they split up the kids a little bit. And Fern kind of gets to step into her own, and her mom gets to see her in a different light. Same thing with Wim. Neil, you don't get to see it as much. And KB, in a sense, yes, when the plane is crashed, or what is it? The ship's crashing. And I think these kids, you just see so much growth in them. They're brave. Yeah. They think no one's going to help us out. We can do this. We can figure this out. And you're like, dang, there's so much growth in these characters. You see it. It's so apparent by the end of the show.
Yeah. And their performances was outstanding. You felt the tension, and you felt like these real grounded emotions for these kids. First one that was like, oh no, was when like Neil hit a bump or whatever. And I forget what it was. I think he got hit by the loaded lasers, and the speeder went flying in the air. It's like, oh no, Neil, like, don't kill off Neil. First off, he's cute as hell. And then when KB's crashing, and I'm just like, okay, again, this show continues to subvert my expectations. And I'm watching this thing crash, and I'm like, oh, they're going to like pull up and we're going to see KB fly away. No, we saw dust come up. That thing hit the ground somewhere. Luckily, we see that still okay, because basically she landed in a pile of gold. But that was something that was like just earnest events happening, and you feel them like you would any other like 80s series.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fern's scream when the ship goes down and they think KB's lost. Wow, she completely sells it.
So stupid of me. I was right away. I was like, she better get the Oscar if they're not going to give it to Black Panther's mom.
Oh man, that will start
if Angela Bassett's not getting it, this kid better, damn it.
Yeah, that's gonna start World War III in the comments section, and I'm here for it. She killed it for sure. She nailed it on that. But yes, you called out Neil. Neil is my favorite character in the show. I think he's probably a lot of people's favorite character. He's just adorable. Like that point where you're talking about where he gets shot off the bike and he's like, you guys go ahead, I got this. And then he just rolls away. He like just rolls out of the light. It was adorable, man. And they all had their little parts of like being the hero or like having a moment, you know, like I didn't expect that from this show. And the way Fern also has to like, she kind of helps Wim and tries to trick him, trick Jod, and then also like talks to her mom. But then, you know, KB again fixing the ship and taking the ship into space to launch the signal, calling Kim, to Neil finding the laser out there, to being the distraction against the Brigade and the other pirates. And then Wim kind of just like being the heart of this all and like keeping the group going forward. I mean, he's the one that grabs a lightsaber. And he actually gets to like turn it on and look like a badass. It was earned. It was cool.
And wasn't a Jedi. How I almost felt like it would have been cheap if he somehow had the Force. And like he can have the Force, that's fine, but to like be the clutch thing, it's like we've seen that so many times that again, you know, it doesn't do that for you. And they also invite the parents to take that bravery step these kids have well trotted at this point. They know how to be brave in the face of danger, and they're inviting the parents in a way. As soon as the parents accept it, it's like, okay, time for the planet to accept it, and let's remove this barrier that we have and welcome the galaxy in. There are all kinds of ramifications to that, of course. They are the richest planet in the galaxy right now. So what does that mean? Luckily, the Republic's coming in to kind of regulate some things.
Also, I'm so confused about that too, which in a good way, I'm very satisfied with the ending. But now that we're talking about it, makes me think like, okay, so when did the barrier go up? Who put the barrier up? Why was it old Republic credits and they didn't even know about the New Republic? So like, who are they making these credits for? like there's still a lot of mystery there, but yet I don't necessarily care. It doesn't take away anything from the ending because I'm really satisfying with what happens to all the characters.
Great point. My belief is that the barrier went up around this planet and the other planets that were like it, all the at whatever planets, because they were all mints, making the credits for the Old Republic, or I guess it's actually just the Republic before. But then they got with no contact, and they're being ran by a robot that's just like, well, my job's to make these. And when finally somebody came through the barrier with the right ship, they're like, oh, here we go. He's here to pick up another load and then take it off. It's just been a bit. And so I think that was the idea, is that there's constantly ships coming in to take a load to bring it to the bank on Coruscant. And nobody's come in a long time. So it will be like things are getting back to normal. It's just been a few generations since it's been back to normal because they had the barrier the whole time.
I wonder who else knows about that planet that was bringing them supplies. Like, do you think they had all the supplies they needed? I mean, just there's so many questions.
It's a big planet.
I don't want to. I feel like I could go down a rabbit hole. If you want to, we can. But I think
no.
where I want to take it.
That's not what this show's about. Like, Skeleton Crew doesn't feel like it's one of those. It's not the Star Wars where you go down the rabbit hole, but it is kind of fun to think about. But yeah, that's probably a good spot to leave it.
Exactly. I was just very satisfied with that. We got Jod's backstory. And we find out, I mean, that heel turn, I think it was in like episode 6, where, you know, they find the treasure down below. He pulls a knife on them, and then they end up pulling the gold statue to fall down the slide. I was like, dang, he really turned into a dick real fast. Turns out he was, and he gives you a little taste of why. He said, I was always hungry. You know, I was found in a hole, and I met a Jedi, and the Jedi taught me how to use the Force. So, you know, there was a lot of people online that were thinking that what he was doing was using magnets. It's pretty interesting that he actually was using the Force the whole time. I kind of like that. I feel like that, you know, was a twist too.
Especially that it's like this raw, untrained, you know, Force too. It is very much the Force that like Luke would have picked up eventually if it wasn't for Ben coming in and showing him, like, he didn't have like the training stuff happen to be with him. And when we get the Force Awakens, we're seeing that ignites into so many things. And that's what the Force Awakens does, right? That movie, there's a bunch of kids now that all have this like Jedi ability that they didn't, like this inherent Force ability. Do you have any theories on who his master could have been?
No. I mean, if I go through the Clone Wars, I might be able to recognize a planet, but I'm trying to think of like where, you know, the most beat up planets were, where you have like, you know, a lot of human species that look like him. So, I don't know if I have any predictions on that right now.
I'm looking to see if anybody's got any theories yet. I'm not seeing any right now. My prediction is that it's, you know, the Jedi themselves, he said, looks pretty beaten up. So I have a feeling it's a Jedi that survived Order 66 and was trying to stay low, but then recognized the Force sensitivity in Jod, and then was like, well, I don't want you to get killed, and definitely don't bring attention to the fact that there's Force sensitivity on this planet. So then tries to teach him in secret, and then at some point accidentally, like, you know, great example is when Cal did it in the games, saved somebody with a Force by accident, and then all of a sudden exposed themselves, and maybe his master got killed in that process. Something like that. Yeah,
definitely. Like, do you think, I mean, I guess they had to be the clones, but that seems so cruel that they would kill him in front of Jod to like torture him.
That's true. There was like a little bit of malice to it. So it probably wasn't the clones. It was probably Darth Vader's, his Darth Inquisitors.
Yeah, it could be an Inquisitor or something. So yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of that's why his whole backstory, again, it was satisfying enough. We found out how he was using the Force. I was cool with that. Again, his character in this was a little, in the show, it kind of dipped and weaved. I loved Jude Law, though, in this kind of, you know, unwanting babysitter role. You know, but he was still a dick. And I don't know, I still got everything I needed out of him. But with that character, I would like to know more of his backstory.
Well, he's not gone, right? I believe they show he's alive and he just stayed in that tower. Did he die at the end?
I didn't see him die either. I think he sees the frigate come down, that big ship, which is pretty cool too. As it's crashing and the X-Fighters come in, or X-Wings come in and shoot it down, it kind of drags along the, you know, whatever the cityscape, I guess. And it looks like an anchor at the bottom of the ocean.
That's good call.
You know that?
Yeah. Well, and we've been talking about John Williams a lot too. I want to mention this as well. Of course, so now I'm really like listening to soundtrack more. And this pirate themed version of Star Wars. Oh, that's some good stuff. Whoever's making that, nailing it, bro.
I mean, the score sets up a lot of great things too. Like, I don't know if this is Mick Giacchino or Michael Giacchino or something. Yeah, but you're right. And like, I've been listening. I was definitely listening for the music this time around too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it picks up. There's a lot of these loud horns and heavy drums when the action's happening, and it's real quiet and somber with these flutes and strings. And they really did a good job of just kind of setting the mood as well with the music in this episode.
It's Mick Giacchino. You're right. It did the Penguin.
Mick Giacchino. Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, Mick and Mike are just crushing. I think that's his dad's name. He's the one that he scored so many different Marvel movies, but he also directed Werewolf by Night. And so they've been a part of the movie for a long time, but Mick has been doing a really fantastic job. And he's got a lot of range too. I mean, think about the Penguin and whatnot, but I think he crushed it with this whole series.
Here's a great picture of him and John Watts together. I'm going to share it on our threads, guys. Check that out. It's a really good picture of the two of them working on the score for this exact show.
Ooh, nice. I mean, man, so much talent in that family. It's pretty amazing. Disney really scored, but like, I think, the music really does set the tone. It gets, especially as KB's about to crash again, all the sound goes out. So you're just listening to them breathing and then the sound of like the ship going down. And I feel like it adds so much weight to those moments.
KB was my favorite character. You were saying Neil was yours, KB was mine. And in that moment, it's kind of more intimate. Like you're imagining almost like it's like KB trying to defuse a bomb, right? It's just all of a sudden now it's just on the breathing and the wires kind of going off. So well done. And then we saw like KB's moms were like calling to her, like, do you have this under control? And KB's like, I got this. And unlike the other parents, they're like, we know you do. Like, fuck yeah, baby. That was awesome. Like, that's some good parents right there.
I know. That's such a good call because they're like, you can fix anything. Yeah. And like that's the encouragement you need. And maybe she did do enough so that they could land and stay alive, like maybe. So it just, it was really well done. I liked how they tied in the parents with everything. Again, it shows the kids' growth, but it also like the parents can recognize the growth in the kids, and then they are now acting accordingly. I thought that was awesome. Again, the other two parents with Fern and Wim in the supervisor's tower trying to stop Jod, that was a big change as well. And they have to determine, are they going to also cut out their whole way of life? Again, breaking down the barrier, exposing their world to every other planet. But maybe it was time. And also like, those parents, they're going to have a lot of responsibility, I think, for the entire planet moving forward.
Yeah, especially Fern's mom, who I think was kind of in a boss role. I mean, somebody's going to have to be the new supervisor. Somebody's going to have to make this transition, and I think that she's going to be a big part of that. It's fun to think about, especially as the adult in the room, right, of this audience. Building out the rest of this world. While this show doesn't need that overanalysis, it's fun to add it to it. But then also, it's so welcoming to a younger generation. So I would like for you guys to jump on social media right now and let us know what you thought about the show. And I want to know specifically if you're a parent of kids, what did your kids think about the show? Are they excited about it? I think there was just enough lightsaber. I don't know if you noticed or not, but like Acolyte had a problem with too much lightsaber. This one had just enough lightsaber, and when the lightsaber was swung, it was like clearly without training, heavy swings, slashing away at stuff. It was just enough for if you were a kid to be like, I need a lightsaber, baby. I got to go to Walmart tomorrow, pick me up a lightsaber.
Yeah. I think that actually reminded me of something, when KB comes down and she pours out of the ship and all the gold's down there. Yeah. When she's alive and the whole group hugs, I feel like you celebrate with them. Mm-hmm. And there's that idea of like, I forgot what Wim is or what they say to Wim, but he looks up through the hole in the building and he sees all the New Republic ships, and you can see it in his eyes. Like maybe he doesn't want to be a Jedi, but he wants to be like a New Republic soldier. He wants to like be with the good guys. I mean, this episode is literally titled like the real good guys. And I just think, it perfectly says everything about Wim. Like he's still Luke Skywalker. He still wants to go out in the world and be on adventures and help people. And I get that so much from him in this episode.
And Luke Skywalker was the only Jedi in all of the Republic. Everybody else there was heroes too, that were seeing new planets, seeing the good people on every planet, right? Like we were hearing from Fern earlier. Like there were, no matter how bad the planet was, there were still good people on it. And that's such a good message for kids to take away, such a good message for all of us to remember. And I think, them looking back up at those stars they could see for the first time, everybody on that planet except for those 4 kids are seeing those stars for the first time. Isn't that amazing? And seeing like, look at the possibilities above us. That's so neat.
Yeah. Yeah. It just ends in this very like hopeful place. And you're like, man, I wonder what these kids are going to do now. And how does it affect like, there's definitely possibilities, so many possibilities for a season 2. I think that this was a crack team of directors that were on it. John Watts and his partner who wrote it, like, it was well paced all the way through. It was fun the whole time. These kids who were scared and out of their wits now at the end are taking control and saving everybody. And we got to do it. I just want to see more of these kids. Like, I hope the show gets greenlit for a season 2 ASAP. Then it starts filming by like the end of the year so that we can get it in 2026.
Where does this rank in Star Wars TV shows for you?
Let's see. So we have the Mandalorians, we have the Ahsoka, we have the Acolyte. I mean, it's definitely better than the Acolyte.
We technically have like Tales of the Sith, Tales of the Jedi.
Oh yeah,
we have the Boba Fett series.
It's above Boba Fett for me, but I'd probably say it's below. As somebody who watched Rebels, it might be below Ahsoka. Although that's hard to say because like this was just so much fun.
Vibe. Yeah,
it's such a different vibe. Yeah, well said.
You know what? I think it has to go. Like, I personally, let me throw this out there. Might help you with this. Like Star Wars, I love the original trilogy for what they are, and I love the prequels for what they are. I don't compare the two together. Everybody else likes to, but I don't.
Right.
That's what this is. I think Ahsoka is very much that, prequel vibe, faster pace, stuff like that. And this is so fun, such adventure. I love it as good as Ahsoka, but it's over there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as soon as I heard all the comparisons of the Goonies, I was like, I got to watch the Goonies. So I watched it on a flight recently. Yeah. And all of that feeling that you get from the Goonies, I think is in this show. You just get so much more of it because it's 8 episodes long. And I don't know. I think that's it. Like I nailed it. And you can't go against the Goonies. Like you can't say a bad thing about that. This had wacky characters and growth and romance and all these things in there and action. And I think they nailed it. So it's almost in its own separate category for me.
All right, I'm going to throw you off a little bit on this one. So a little reference to a previous episode we guys just did. Check it out, the Jurassic Park episode. And you just watched Goonies. Did you notice that Wayne Knight's, Newman, his costuming in Jurassic Park is 1-for-1 pretty much with Chunk from Goonies?
Chunk.
Exact same costume. What?
Did not even think about it, but as you were saying it, I was like, it's got to be Chunk. Wow. Okay. I didn't even. We got to put a side-by-side comparison to this.
They're right there. Boom, boom, boom. Same raincoat, same floral shirt when he's meeting with the guy in the beginning. Everything. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
That was like literally awesome. Like the costuming department's like, we're gonna make you Chunk. Yeah.
Nice, Steven Spielberg. That's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome.
Anything else we want to get out on Skeleton Crew? I mean, we're fresh off it, guys. Literally, we just stopped watching it, so these are fresh reactions.
Is this a show that you think could get a season 2? Like, where does the story go from here? Is it a whole new adventure for a season 2?
I would say I wouldn't want Skeleton Crew season 2. I would want like Skeleton Crew, the At-Atten Adventures, or Skeleton Crew, Jod's Escape. Like, I want more from this group, but I don't necessarily want to just see a straight up sequel. I think it'd be fun to kind of explore where these kids go, what happens with that Atten, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Like almost like obviously we have all the history from before, but we don't need a connecting adventure, right?
Right.
It's like so I think I'm totally down with it being a completely new story, but have Jod, you can have him interact almost like when you used to get 90s cartoons. Like there was always an overarching villain in the shadows, but then there was a little villains week to week. And I think I would really dig that. And every once in a while, Jod pops in there, and they're kind of clashing. And then as the kids are growing up, there's this big, long battle. And eventually there's going to be this, they're going to have to either take him out or, just completely pour out this love for him. And hopefully he comes to the good side. Yeah. But, the other thing, too, is like this doesn't shy away from the good and the bad side, which is, they try to put conflicting views, I think, in the Acolyte. And it is more complex. And there is a lot of merit to that. But there's no confusion here. The pirates are the bad guys, and then the New Republic were the good guys. And then that was it. And I love the simplicity of it. I don't know why. Like, I don't want to rehash this, but it makes me more mad at the Acolyte all over again. They're like just trying to make us dislike the Jedi. Like, why? Why are you trying to do that? It's just not necessary.
Could become, I know, you dislike that so much. This could mature later on. Like, could evolve with the audience. Like, I think it should, if it does evolve, it'll evolve with the age of the kids if they wanted to do that someday in the future. At that point, we could ask the question, is Jod worth redeeming? How do we redeem him? Is there that moment where he decides to actually embrace the light side to beat Thrawn in a big battle? Something like that. Like, that is something that's in the future, possibly, but it's not there right now. I don't think the audience for this is set for that. It's just not the right audience.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm just wondering, with this whole huge, collaboration that's coming up, right? We have all the Ahsoka characters, the Mandalorian characters, right? This movie's coming out. And now that we know that this is clearly post Order 66, we're in the New Republic. Are they going to run into other characters that we've seen in Star Wars? I'm so glad that they didn't do it for the season. I don't think they needed it at all. But I mean, there's other characters that we know that are still alive in the Rebel time. Like, that'd be pretty cool, though, if Wim runs into Ahsoka or Neil into Chopper or something. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I think the one that we're most likely to going to see run into anybody would be Jod, because he's probably out on the run right now. And this time, maybe he's trying to pretend to be a good guy because he knows the Force and he has a blue lightsaber. But we know this time from the get that he's a bad guy. And then it's like, could he be redeemed? Could he be switched over? Do we trust him ever? Could be a good, fun wild card.
Yeah, that's true. I think if you're Jude Law, you would 100% sign up for this. If you knew that there would be more possibilities to do other Star Wars things. And I could see that happening, because you're right. He has a little bit of the Force. He could be redeemed. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, he was trained by a Jedi at one point, and did that any of that stick, or did the pirate way of life? He quoted Qui-Gon Jinn at one point, and it's like, there's some teaching into that boy. He knows something. Yeah,
he's got some great lessons in there somewhere for sure.
Yeah. The last thing I didn't think we caught. The last thing I want to make sure to mention is the visuals for this thing were amazing as well. The way that new ship looked when that skin came off of it, looking back at past episodes. And then even to this one, like this big battle and stuff like that. No complaints at all with the visuals. One of the more spectacular scenes you think with a Star Wars would be like, oh, that ship battle or the big fight scene. No, it's when they open that great vault, and just the imagery of that much gold, that much credit really was almost overwhelming in a way where I felt like I was like Jude Law in that moment, where it's like, this is more than I could have ever imagined. And then, kind of makes you reflect on Andor when they had that big heist for what was like 2 pallets, It's like, this is like unfathomably, like, I can't fathom how much gold this is. And they're like, oh yeah, it's one of thousands of volts. I'm like, what? And that was a really cool visual storytelling of just like how infinite this money actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I wish I got a little bit more of an understanding of Jod's desperation. Like, he does give that really good speech to the pirates, like, we're always hungry and this and that, but I wish there was like little hints, or he could have made little comments throughout the show, like, when I was a kid, I had way less than you, because he says, you kids are spoiled because of this. But I think it would have added a little bit more to that scene of him seeing the gold, even if he was like, when I was a kid, when I was your age, I had nothing. I didn't even have 2 credits to like, I could twist together or whatever, like rub together. So I think that would have made it a little bit more impactful. But you do get the set. You're right. Like, that vault thing was really, really sick. And the way they did it, underground, and, the droids have to let you in, and it's cool. Even the way the planet worked with the barrier as well. The barrier scenes were awesome. That was such a unique idea that I feel like you could really only do with Star Wars, probably Star Trek too, but like Star Wars, especially, like a barrier around a planet that gives you like a fake atmosphere so you can't get through. That's like so cool. That's such a cool idea. I love that they did that.
Yeah. I'm trying not to bring Star Trek up, but you keep making that happen. I'm just saying, it's all right.
But does that happen in a Star Trek?
Oh, of course it does. I've seen something similar to this all the time. Yeah, there's a famous line where Janeway, they're running out of supply. Oh, well, here we go. And Voyager's like running out of the ability, like energy to make coffee, and she needs coffee every morning. And like they're like, oh, we could farm this nebula, whatever. And then like famously, the quote you'll see all the time is like, there's coffee in that nebula. And that meme is anywhere on Star Trek, like internet. So
sounds good.
And it looks just like that. It looks like there's like nebula you wouldn't want to enter, but she's like, no, we have coffee in there. So she's going in.
Man, you'll do some crazy things for coffee, people. I mean, I would too. I get it.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was a wonderful show. A big surprise for me. I thought I was going to like it because the Goonies thing again, like everybody was mentioning that. This quickly became one of my favorites. What a real highlight. What a great start to 2025.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is starting this year off on a high note, especially for Star Wars. I'm trying to think, do we have the Mandalorian movie coming out this year? We might only have Andor season 2, I think, but
I think it's just Andor, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, really high note, really ending on a high note, which I really appreciated. Super low expectations, way over exceeded it. I think that's probably the way you should go into most things. Really worked for me with Agatha as well. But yeah, I love these kids. I love this story. I love John Watts. I think they just nailed it in every aspect. And yeah, I hope we get more of these characters.
Let us know what you guys thought about this. Drop us a line on Threads, where we're at Twitter and Instagram. And let us know what you guys thought about this. If TikTok's still around in a week, join us over there as well. And we're going to start posting our stuff onto YouTube a lot better. So we got great YouTube videos out for recent episodes, cleaned up even more than usual. And we're going to start posting all the shorts more regularly. We already do that, but more regularly. So come join us over there, guys, as well. Links in the description. And thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Aloha.